I was reading a psychological consult that was having this way of expressing how one of the two people, it was a couple's consultation, one of the two people was not wanting to be weak, meaning be vulnerable, meaning show emotions. But they were showing emotions as they were expressing why they were really not upset, and that they simply wanted things to get done in a specific way. So they're being demanding, critical, angry in regards to the other individual, which instead was the whiner, okay? So the one expressing those emotions of sadness. Both individuals are expressing emotions, essentially. And both individuals are vulnerable. Now, difference is one has this idea that weakness is part of emotions that involve sadness, and therefore anger is not weak. However, anger is a vulnerable emotion because you are being reactive. All emotions are within our spectrum as a human being. And when you take a look at the body element, which we talk about on the podcast at this point, our brain development, and there's that sense of self that develops in a specific way as we grow up from our infancy. There's what's called the attachment theory. For those who are not regular listeners, go ahead and look it up. Our brain and our nervous system are always engaged. Our body is always engaged. And so our reactiveness comes from a core that stems from before you had thought. And that you then begin to use these words based on your child thinking brain, because you start thinking about things in your own way, and then you start as a teenager to look to your peers. So there's a couple of layers before you can get to the emotion itself. And this idea of weakness, vulnerability, segmenting emotions into two spectrums, positive and negative, also keeps people distracted because they're not positive or negative. They have an effect on your physiology, on your state of consciousness. In fact, when we go to the Akashic Records, for anybody who does those types of readings, which I personally do, to get to the quantum physics plane, what do you go through first? You go through the physical, the emotional, and the mental planes. Now, the mental plane is the thickest of them all because that is where you create, because that is where the thought formulates. What is the thought? It's the storyline. If I show sadness, I'm weak. If I show anger, I'm strong. If I think that I am strong, I am not weak. And that devoids you from actually creating a relationship with the emotion itself. Today we talk a lot about emotion on the episode on the future and what it can hold. But essentially from this little video, I want you to take away, grow a relationship with all of your emotions with love. The 5D way.